What's up guys, old school Dan here, and in this video I want to teach you the difference between symmetry and proportions. Let's talk about symmetry first. So symmetry is basically essentially controlling development in specific areas. You're working towards what we call an X-frame physique. Guys, you see maps in my teeth. Guys who had a very good X-frame physique would be like Steve Reeves. You got the wide lats, the wide shoulders, small waist, the big calves and big forearms. Another good example is Frank Zane, good X-frame physique. So it's basically controlling development in specific areas, and these specific areas are like the shoulders, the waistline, the calves, and the forearms. And these are specific areas you want to sort of spend a little more time on, or sort of what you call quote unquote insinuate. Is that the right word? But just spend more time on those muscles, because that's what's sort of going to give you that X-frame physique. Because if you're not born with like a small waist, you definitely can do something about it. You may not have the smallest waist in the world, just like Arnold didn't have the smallest waist, but he did work on the symmetry a lot to create that look where you had a sort of an X-frame physique. Like it's a symbol as bringing up your V taper and then adding a little bit more into the V taper, whereas adding more, just working your calves harder, so that way you can get that full X-frame look. So that's what symmetry is. Specifically adding muscle in specific areas, controlling development of other areas that would throw off symmetry, like too much lower pec, too much of chest mass would throw off the shoulders, or too much shoulders and not enough forearms will throw off the symmetry, or too much thighs, too big, well, Vince Gironda call them turn up thighs. Too much turn up thighs and not enough calves is going to throw off the symmetry. It's not going to create that X-frame look. So that's the gist of symmetry. It's a small little bit of it. Proportions are now really good examples of proportional bodybuilders, but not what I mean by proportional, but what I mean is guys who had great old school proportions. Now, what are the old school proportions? Old school proportions are like the calves that match the bicep size. But this is going to be a better example. Think of Bill Pearl, and think of I don't know if you heard of Arash. He's a classic physique bodybuilder. Think of Arash versus Bill Pearl. Now, one of the main differences I can pick out very quickly between them is that Arash has super round shoulders, like a bowling ball, and they're very, you could say, proportional with his biceps and triceps. But that's the mistake right there. That's not an old school. That's not old school proportions. Bill Pearl had wide shoulders, but he definitely had biceps and triceps that were bigger than his shoulders. That is old school proportions, whereas Arash doesn't. He has literally, his shoulders are proportional with his biceps and triceps, and that's not old school proportions. That's just proportions in general, and that's not what we want. If you want to get that old school look, you have to work towards the old school proportions. And I'll go over, if you're curious about more about what exercise would create this sort of a symmetrical, proportional, old school bodybuilding look, make sure to check out the next video, because I'll be talking about that. But that's why Steve Reeves didn't want massive shoulders. And if you look at pictures of him when he's doing the picture when he's holding up a thing like that, you can see that his shoulders aren't bigger than his biceps and triceps, and there's a reason for that, because this ties back to or you can go as far back as the symmetry, but right now we're talking about proportions. This is because it's all about old school proportions, creating those biceps and triceps that are bigger than the shoulders, or getting the calves up as big as the thighs. As the biceps, and not letting the thighs, where a lot of bodybuilders make mistakes nowadays, where they just really care about the thigh development and not too much about the calf development. And that's exactly one of the big differences between old school bodybuilding and new school bodybuilding, is the fact that old school bodybuilders really cared about calf development. They saw the importance of it, whereas new bodybuilders don't so much see the impressiveness or almost the purpose of calf development, of great calf development. That's sort of one of the big differences. And Vince Gironda called them, I think I talked about earlier, turn up thighs. Having bigger thighs than the calves. So that's turn up thighs. So yeah, that's sort of the gist of proportions versus symmetry proportions. And if you're curious about learning more about this, um, you can message me on Facebook. I'm gonna drop my Facebook link. You can message me right there. I started posting some old school content on there. I know a lot more of my YouTubers are actually on Facebook and not Instagram, so I'm looking to connect a lot more and help you out a little bit more. And if you're curious about more about symmetry, about the exercises, and getting a little bit more of an in-depth explanation of how to create old school proportions, how to create symmetry, or if you're just interested in like getting some more tips, some more impersonal tips on um, your current training routine or your current diet, or just a couple questions you have for me, we could actually schedule a quick coaching call where we're going to go over like what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, what I think you should be doing. So some quick hints and tips right there to help you get you going on your way, giving you the exact roadmap on what you need to be doing to get your desired results. So I do that with no strings attached. The reason I do that is because I know there's going to be a percentage of people who are going to want to work with me to implement that plan after we talk about it. So if you're curious about that, I'm going to drop the link for the coaching call below. With that being said, I'm Old School Dan. I'm gone. Peace.